You knew something they didn't know, but you were not afraid to share it. You shared it as much as you possibly could. Some of your biggest people are people you personally called and hired.
Because this industry is funny in that it just keeps going. Like it's like something you plant. Like maybe I threw in 20 seeds and 19 of them didn't take, but the one takes and now I have that tree forever.
Thank you for joining us on our Family First Life Tri-State Serve the People podcast. We appreciate you tuning in, spending your time to develop and grow with us. Follow us, please, on all our social media platforms at Family First Life Tri-State or FFL Tri-State. We love you. Keep listening, and I hope this information is serving you across the country. All right, everybody, thank you for jumping on with us for our Training Day podcast. I got my man, Gabriel Ericson Singh, who is just a complete stud. He's here in New Jersey with us, trying to help us out with a bunch of stuff. But I want to say board member. I'm going to say executive board member, because that's where you guys are, of FFL, 320 Life Solutions, Hall of Fame producer, has seen the business from every single angle imaginable and has been a key architect in that business structure. I mean, from recruiting to training to selling to modeling, just a complete machine. So I'm excited, to say the least, to have you in studio, bro. And thank you for joining us, man. How are you doing today?
My pleasure, man. Dude, I'm blessed to be here. Coming back to the motherland, man.
Love it. Well, speaking of that, man, I want to touch on this because you were just in Israel, and that looks so awesome from your stories. Can you touch on that just a little bit and what that experience was like for you?
Man, it was phenomenal. You know, I planned that trip in 2020, and of course it got canceled and rescheduled like 6 times. And it was a trip of a lifetime for my mom. That's why I really wanted to go. And at a time, you know, in our business this time of year, you know, fourth quarter, everything going on, this is not the time to take a 10-day vacation. So as it got closer, I was like thinking, like, man, like maybe I could send my mom with a friend. And she was like, if you don't go, I'm not going to go.
Wow.
And but I was so glad I went. Just amazing, dude. You know, you on so many levels. For one, as far as my faith is concerned, going to places like the Garden of Gethsemane, seeing where Christ surrendered to God's will to die on the cross, and going to, you know, where the garden tomb would have been, going to the Hill of a Skull, but then just kind of getting that perspective of like, man, this is God's country, this is God's people, all the political stuff that's going on, what the Bible says about it, just really makes you think. You know, we get caught up in our worlds with, you know, stuff I love, like I love my job and I love my friends and but it kind of makes you take a step back.
That's awesome.
And, you know, actually, I got a little gift for you, dude. I wasn't going to do it personally, but this is a good time to do it since you brought it up. So this is a stone from the brook Kidron in the Valley of Elah. Wow. And the significance of that, you know, there's not a lot of places from 2,000, 3,000 years ago that are the same as they were. Right. But this is where David got the stone that killed Goliath. Picked the 5 smooth stones. It's the same brook. The water goes through it the same time every year. Oh, man. You can feel how the stone is smooth because the water goes through it.
This might be one of the best gifts I've ever got. This is, wow. Thank you for thinking of me, man.
I got you, brother.
This is great, dude. I need the story to this. Because I might frame this and put the story underneath it. So when we get a chance, I want you to break this down for me again.
For sure.
'Cause this is powerful.
Yeah.
Why this rock? Why me?
Yeah. You know, as I got into the business world, money makes people, just being transparent with you, money makes people change. And as I got into more of the business world, start making a little more money, I started to value more and more people that already were successful in industry and still held to their Christian values. So like Joe, that was something that he did really early on for me, you know, because he was already had some success in business.
Right.
And I was feeling the temptations of having a little more money in my pocket. Kind of been broke my whole life.
Right. Yeah,
and he helped me. And you've been that too, dude. And I really appreciate your testimony, you know, at convention, you know, public forums, you know, speaking Christ's name, and just even on social media, you know, making that a regular part, doing the devotions. So I thought you'd appreciate this.
do, man. Thank you so much. It means a whole lot to me coming from you, and it means a lot to me just that you thought of me in that way. So thank you. I'm going to cherish this.
Gotcha, brother.
And I want to definitely put the story there, because I think that's amazing. When I think of David, and I think of David attacking Goliath, I think about this being one of the rocks from that, where he got the rock he used. And you think about his courageousness, how bold he was, his ability, that everyone was shaken, and he goes out and says, "Hey, dude, he's defying the armies of the living God. Like we're this is not happening on my watch."
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, so.
And in a time when God's anointed king was somebody else,
right,
and someone that already stood head above shoulders everyone else. Like Saul should have done it, but David was a boy and he did it.
Yeah. So this means more to the story. You know, the fact that you thought of me, and the fact that you know, it's here and I'm holding it. It means a lot. So thank you so much.
Gotcha, brother. I only grabbed 5, just like David. I was about to grab a lot because I was like, I'd be like, nah. I was like, I feel like if I grab too many, the significance will be lost. It's like Gabe's good. People could be like, oh, Gabe's throwing these around town.
That's great, dude. Wow, that's great. Man, that took us in a different direction, but that's strong, dude. But I, you know, when I think about you, bro, you know, history tells its story, and you know, you've been ridiculously instrumental in really every process of, you know, you deciding to partner with Gabe. I mean, you deciding to partner with Caleb, and then you and Caleb and Joe all partnering together, and then like everybody kind of lining up their strengths and securing each other's weaknesses. But this whole thing, you and Caleb kind of pieced together unknowingly, and then you kind of intentionally pieced it together intentionally, right? And it's a weird way I just said that.
No, but that's doing it justice, because like you could say the beginning we kind of fell into it,
right?
And then we saw the pieces like a puzzle piece, and we're like, wait a second, like, like this might work,
right?
That's exactly how it has. That's exactly how it happened.
You know, and work it has, bro. But you know, not without the just sheer gumption and I would say courageousness, fearlessness. You didn't care about being judged, and you just went after it. And I think like without that, it doesn't grow. It can't nearly grow on the trajectory that it's grown on. And I'm talking about 320 Life Salute. So your company, your partnership, it could not grow as fast as it's grown without what you did. And I want to start detailing that because I think more people need to hear what it looks like to build a warm market business selflessly for others while taking care of your family. And I think that is how all the big businesses you see, they're defined by that. Building a big business selflessly for others while taking care of yourself. And you did that. Can you detail, which is a lot of detail, but can you detail where it started with your reckless abandon of warm market listed names of friends, close associates, people you knew that you saw, you knew something they didn't know because they're hoping that a tenth of what you're saying is true. You knew something they didn't know, but you were not afraid to share it. You shared it as much as you possibly could. Some of your biggest people are people you personally called and hired and recruited. So please, you know, walk us down the instrumental path that you've been to FFL 3LS so that people can understand what it looks like to get as big as you guys are?
Sure. So I'd say, being true to kind of what we said a second ago, it happened kind of as like a knee-jerk reaction at the beginning. It was, I went out, I helped 7 families, my second week here. That money hit my bank account, and I was like, this is real. I was like, this is real, and I'm also doing this for the rest of my life. Like, this is it. And then I was like, I understood, Caleb and I understood building a business. We understood at least the concept. Like, we weren't confused about that. We got an office.
Right.
We put furniture in it. It was like 700 square feet, whatever it was. Month-to-month lease. Like, we got a spot people can come to. And then I just started, as far as friends were concerned, I just started telling them what I was doing. I was like, hey, Mark, so I know you're over there selling lawn care. I work there too. I've been doing this new sales job. It's been phenomenal for me, and I thought about you. I thought it was something maybe you could do. I'm an independent contractor. I went and got leads. This is how much I spent. I did this. It was like a 15-minute conversation with these folks. I helped them. They loved it. This is what I got paid. And I just kept it super simple. Like that was it. And it was like, that just really resonated with people. And I plugged people in. We did it before we were really plugged into any other like group texting thing. I started a group text with people that said they were interested. Got it. And I was like, I'm just going to put you in this group text. And I put like training videos I watch. And, so like, I think like Nina's video had just come out. Like the same week I started, her video came out. And I sent that to like 100 people. Got it. Because I was like, this is what I do. Like, this is really, like, it's that simple. And that was a real good breakdown of that. And we started getting people on. And after, that's where we started seeing puzzle pieces. Got it. So I made that, I called Matt, I called Mindy, I called Joe, I called Sean. And then. So
initially, you're just trying to help people. You understand it's a business, clearly. But you say you didn't really see the puzzle pieces at that point in time when you started to first call people. Why were you calling them?
I knew that, one, that would kind of help me build my business. Okay. But I was just thinking, how are they not going to love it? Right. Makes sense. Like, they're just going to make great money. Like, you're making, $80,000 a year selling, lawn care. What if you could make 3, 4, 5 times that, whatever that number is, right, sure. Doing this, and why would you do it with anybody but me? But
I like that, though.
Yeah.
That's very intentional. Now, the thing I want to ask you, and I'm going to let you continue down the path you were going, is, was this a mental Rolodex, or was this a physical list of names that you put down on paper?
So it started as just like people I thought of, kind of like out the blue. Yeah. Like my first few calls, Sean, Matt, Joe, these are just people that were good friends that I knew. But like, these guys are good at sales. If I can do this, they can do this. Right. And then after that, when we talk about the puzzle pieces, it became a list. I was like, this is working. So like, who do I know? Right. And then I think the culmination of like the list, and I got to ask Caleb, because I thought I had a picture. I was looking for it last night at dinner, but we went up to, so we rented probably this little storefront for like month-to-month lease, like, I don't know, like $700 for like 700 square feet, whatever it was. And we went up, but they had a little attic area where we put a whiteboard up there. And we went up there and we wrote down on their whiteboard probably like 60 names. Got it. Of people that we knew. And
this is boss.
And we were just like kind of going through this. So let's start reaching out to these people that we think could be good at this. And that's when it went from, it was of course intentional the whole time, but that's when it went to became like a battle plan. As far as like, why not? Why? Yeah.
That's really strong. And I need people to really understand, because Gabe, I'm working. The thing that that I remember really, really well in business is building a list of names. But I forgot it for so long that writing names down intentionally, I forgot it for so long that it has affected what is an extremely simple process to business, which is if it's good for you, it's good for others. If it's shareable, this is shareable, right? So we're now with, reckless abandon, helping people build lists, helping new recruits build lists, because who you mentally remember, Rolodex-wise, is nothing like a list.
Right.
Would you agree?
100%.
Why?
For one, it's really difficult to follow up with people. Like, I think about somebody, I text them, and if they text me back and we start a conversation, it's going to be on my mind.
Right.
But maybe they text back later and I don't see it, and then I forgot. And
Right.
now they're not plugged into anything.
Right.
They're not. I never called them.
Right.
And it's been a week or two.
Sure.
Like, it's just, and then you just get overwhelmed.
Right.
Almost.
Yeah.
Like, so you got to keep it organized, and that's something that definitely at the beginning Caleb helped me with a lot.
That's strong. Now, so that's happening now. But let's go back down the people you were bringing on. You were starting to talk about this, what's become, quite a machine. But we're still at the embryonic stages of this. So keep going down this list of people you started to farm your farm system, if you will.
Sure. So I mean, I'm pretty sure the very first text, and he's downstairs during a training, was Sean.
Okay.
That was probably the very first person. Just because Sean was my boy. We did several sales jobs together. We sold cable, we sold lawn care, we sold garbage service and unincorporated Crown Point, where they were in the city. They had to buy their own garbage service. And I think I just texted him. I think Sean said he still has the text where I'm like, hey, I might have found gold. I'll tell you in a week if it's legit. Like, I think I texted before I sold anything. But I was starting to believe. And then I went out, and like that, when I helped 7 families that week, I was like, okay, get in this ASAP. And
dude, the way he tells the story, he was like, how does someone text that? And me not be curious. Like, he's like, what are you talking? I remember him telling me the story, but that's great. I think I found gold. That's great.
Not everybody was as warm. Matt was very cynical. I did.
Borscht.
Borscht. I did not think I was going to get him. I remember FaceTiming him and explaining, how Matt is. Matt is giving me like the stone face the whole time. And me and Matt are really close. And he's just like, okay. And then I'm like, all right, brother, well, I'll talk to you later. And then, so we end the FaceTime call, and I'm like, okay, he thinks I'm trying to get him on some kind of MLM or something. I was like, in my head, that was done. Like, I threw it away.
Got it.
And then, but he did his own research. And I think a lot of these, one of the reasons warm market is so strong is these people knew me, and they knew I would never intentionally lead them astray.
Correct.
So they're like, okay, Gabe is good at like sales stuff.
Right.
Like, what is this thing he's talking? Is it
Let
legit?
me at least look like he's worth me looking into this.
Right.
Which is amazing.
And then so Matt called me back like a few days later and was like, all right, I'm trying to get registered in this licensing course.
What?
I was like, yeah, that's what was my reaction. I was like, what? And then, I called Joe up, out of the blue.
This is
Basso.
Okay.
I called him up out of the blue. I hadn't talked to him in a few years. And last time I had talked to him, he had tried to get me, I was just graduating, he had tried to get me a job at his father-in-law's church. They were looking for an assistant pastor, and I was getting ready to go to West Africa. And so I was like, I'd love to, but I'm moving to the other side of the world.
Right.
And so that was the last time we had spoken. So that was cool. And I was like, hey, I don't know what you're doing. And I didn't know he was a business owner at that point, was doing well. But it was, so much of it was really God's leading because, I mean, that was the perfect time to reach out to him. COVID had just hit.
Yeah, I remember.
And his business was hurting.
Dude.
And he was also, you know, Joe's such a genuine guy. He was also very sensitive to his friends and family struggle because Joe was okay financially, but he knew all the people he had to furlough, you know, friends that were struggling.
Right.
So he was thinking about this as like an opportunity for them.
Sure.
And
That's great.
was blown away by how, you know, much I was making just as an agent. You know, Mindy, I hadn't talked to her in several years, and a mutual friend kind of connected that. And she was kind of like Matt, a little cynical. I had to like give her a carrot. I'd be like, you know, if you spend $1,000 and it doesn't work, I'll pay you back.
Sure.
Or something like that. And she was like, okay, I'll give it a shot. So that was the foundation. And I made this comment to you yesterday. I don't think I realized this. I think I knew it inside, but I didn't like have words for it. Was I see other people do that and it not work as well. I think something that was really important with that core and other people as well was I felt like my warm market was attached. Like they all had little strings to each other.
Right.
And I knew when I brought these people in, they were close and they were my first.
Right.
I felt this extra weight of responsibility.
Good for you.
Like I can't let them fail. Not just because I care about them, and I did a lot. Right. But also, these people are watching.
There's a chink in the armor.
Yeah. And if they're like, oh, you know, Matt went and tried it out, and Sean went and tried it out, and these are Gabe's best friends, you know, and it didn't work out for them. Well, must not be too much to it. Right. And so, like in my head, like I could not let them fail. Now don't get me wrong; these guys are very hard workers, and they made it very easy for me. Right. I know there's some situations, and I've been in some of those personally where someone just doesn't want to work. Right. That's different. Right. But for these guys that were going to work and really wanted to make it happen, I was like, I'll go. I mean, there wasn't a number on it. Wow. I was like, if I'm writing to keep these guys in the business for a couple months, like I feel like I saw the long game. I didn't know what it would be, and I didn't know how big it could be. Right. But like the long game was clear in my head. Like if I don't get there alone, like we get there together or not at all.
That's awesome, bro. That's so much. I mean, you say that was like the foundation. That is the foundation. Right. Like if I look at your organization, you know, those are your, you know, Joe's now your partner. Borscht is that your biggest agency?
Yeah, right there.
Yeah, and then Sean Barnes is a major player. Mindy's got a lot of great things going on, and then there's been so much more. When you said that there's so many links, you know, that's 60 people on that list. I don't know how many of them came over, but it seems like a lot. Right. Because Caleb went out and hired some people too, right? Like he hired Mike Irvine, and Travis Vincent came from that, and Sam Oberly, and then Joe Basso hires his father, his sister, his other sister now, his brother, you know, and he hires, you know, a bunch of guys that he was in business with, and Tyler May, and then you guys have the school, and they're sending, and it's, dude, so it's like, it spawns. It spawns off of your list of names, your care and concern, and your ability to be unafraid of being judged. And then this last piece you just mentioned, which is, but I wanted to make sure they succeeded because I needed more of them on my side because there was so many links. Yeah. I needed more of them winning so that we had more of a testimony, more of a credibility to go get all the others. And that happened. Yeah. So kudos to you for that vision, which is going to go down in history. But then there's another side of this where you said, all right, bruh, I'm flying out to see you to make sure you understand what it is to write business. Unpack that.
I mean, that was just the evolution of the I'm invested in your success. You know, I was thinking I think there's just a principle. It's a Bible principle, and it's a foundational principle. You should do right, not because you know what good may or may not come of it, but just because it's the right thing.
Dang.
And you get surprised by all the good things. Like, I never knew Joe was going to be my business partner.
Right. Correct.
I never knew that. That
Right.
that was not on my radar.
Correct.
You know, so when he had people getting started and I was flying out to, field train them, I knew it was benefiting me in the moment, but I just also knew it felt like it was the right thing to do.
Right.
When I know they wouldn't mind me sharing the story, when Mindy's husband was getting started and, Mindy just had a kid, she's out of commission and, this is Andrew's first sales gig,
Right.
And he's getting going.
Right.
I didn't know that he was going to recruit, David Starr, who's going
Right.
to be helping 60 families a month. I
Right.
didn't know that was going to be
Right.
someone that no-showed him and he went back and then signed up this kid.
Right.
And the kid was like, how much are you making? Like, I had no idea.
Right.
I just knew that these were my friends.
Right.
And they needed my help, and so that's really where it came from. And I mean, here's the thing: that part of our business, I'm really glad we weren't looking at the numbers at that time, because financially speaking, it didn't always make sense.
Right.
Like, we didn't see an immediate return.
Right.
Like, I went out, like, we were buying leads, and most of the time I was making sales, and a lot of the time we were having a profit, but I'm sure there was times we had a loss or we just broke even, and sometimes that happened and the agent didn't work out.
Right.
So it felt like, did I go out there for nothing? I didn't
Right.
make money, but it was just really trusting the process.
Right.
Almost like going to the gym
Right.
and feeling like, today wasn't that great of a day.
Right.
But I know that going to the gym every day is the recipe to me being successful.
Amen.
I knew that doing this consistently day in, day out, regardless of the results I saw in the moment, this was the recipe to be successful. And it just made sense. And I was like, dude, if I go out and I field train 10 agents and 2 of them work out, and then they build agencies, one of them works out and he builds a massive agency,
Right.
gets a whole lot of agents, helps a whole lot of people. Like, that makes sense.
100%.
Or if, I do it for 2 months and I don't see anything, and then the next 2 months are crushing it.
Yeah.
Because this industry is funny in that
Uh-huh.
it just keeps going. Like, it's like something you plant. Like, maybe I threw in 20 seeds and 19 of them didn't take, but the one takes, and now I have that tree forever. Like, so these are trees that I got forever.
Dude, that is just. But I was listening to you this last segment you just did, and I was like, wow, just like that's where Serve the People came from. You know what I'm saying? Like, just this ability to serve without what's my ROI? My ROI is service. My ROI is we're gonna sow seeds today for tomorrow's harvest. That's my ROI. Like, I don't have, what am I supposed to get? Thank God I can sell life insurance,
Right.
so I can pay my bills. But what am I supposed to get? Did you help some people today?
Yeah.
Because that every day at scale is going to build a massive company. And I think I deal with a decent amount of managers that have had that dream at one point. Maybe they've lost it, or they never understood it. And they it becomes about them. It becomes about their time. It becomes about their lack of return on investment or time. And it becomes the service part of the business dwindles. I was talking to Borsch earlier. He says, I've been talking about this all year. People grow weary in well-doing, Gabe. You didn't grow weary in well-doing. Yeah, it doesn't always make money. Yeah, sometimes we break even. Sometimes we lose money. Sometimes it's just a complete loss. But would you agree that you running an agency right now, helping 3,000 families a month, is a direct byproduct of that selflessness times 3 with your 2 partners, and then what y'all were able to establish just really forever is this culture of everybody serving and giving back.
Yeah.
How does that feel?
It feels pretty great, man. There's a principle in the Bible, and I'm not gonna try to quote the verse because I'd mess it up, but it is that, you know, if God can't trust you with little, how's he going to give you true riches?
Yeah, true.
And, you know, when I was a kid reading that verse, or a teenager, I thought like, oh, big money.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I thought true riches meant. But true riches means that there are things that are treasures in life that you can't put a price tag on.
Right.
And God has the grasp on those.
Wow.
Like, he's got the financial grasp, he's got the cattle on 1,000 hills, but he's also got this.
Right.
And you can maybe get some cattle on some hills.
Sure.
But this is in God's hands.
Amen.
And I felt like I was getting those then. Wow. And I know I have them now.
Amen.
You know, but when I was helping people I cared about, and we were just going to work because it was the right thing to do, I even felt then like it was worth it. But so it's an amazing feeling. It's an amazing feeling seeing what we have, and even talking to, you know, Matt and the other managers, you know, because sometimes, you know, business isn't always easy.
Right,
we go through our rough patches.
Sure.
And just thinking like, yeah, you're right. Like, we'll do the little jokes. We'll be like, yeah, but man, we should go back to selling lawn care, huh?
Imagine that.
And, you know,
great.
Just the looks, you know, you get when you say something like that. Because it's like you forget how far you've come.
It's so true, dude. It's for real, bro. One punch in the face and you feel like you fell 1,000, you know, feet. And it's like, dude, it was just one punch in the face.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Or you're like in your 20s, like, yeah, I'm working so hard. Yeah, I was like, yeah, man. Who was I just poking fun at? And he really wasn't whining. It was like an appointment that went bad. But Ryan's my boy. And we were talking. I was like, yeah, dude, 27, work's done, huh? Time to retire. He's like, shut up. No. He's like, that's not what I'm saying. But it's just, yeah, I mean, it's crazy to be at this position. You know, I'm 32, and I feel, you know, it's of the Lord. I hope it doesn't sound like a prideful statement. I feel like I got the world by the tail, man. It just feels amazing.
That's awesome, dude. But that's, again, you worked your way to that feeling, right? It didn't start like that. And, you know, we both know challenges are still here, but it's really your perspective on how you handle it. You know, we had a conversation one day, and it was just like, you know, how it's all about perspective for what's going on in our head, because 70% of our subconscious thoughts are negative every single day. I'm attacking from the moment I wake up. I have 30% chance to win and I have to know that, and then I have to attack, right? But then at the same time, how do I lead others? How do we lead others, you know, and make sure that if I can't battle my stuff and successfully win some of the time,
right,
then how am I going to help others battle their stuff and successfully win some of the time?
Right.
Now, they got to help themselves too, but there's a reason that, you know, you're in the position that you're in from a leadership standpoint, because people need you.
Yeah.
And
well, something I didn't realize, speaking on exactly what you're saying during that time is, and this is something that completely went over my head, but it was something I was a full recipient of. I didn't realize when I put other people's burdens on my back that I was getting stronger too. For me.
Got it. Wow.
I didn't realize that. I thought, you know, this is something that they need, but I didn't realize that this was just helping me as an individual.
Right.
Like something I would have burdens I would have never put on myself to improve myself.
Absolutely.
I would do it for other people.
How about that?
And I would become the recipient of the personal growth that would do.
Yeah.
That's something I didn't see until way later, until it was like, whoa, like me having a rough day in the field and acting like I was fine because, you know, Mindy needed to hear that. Because she had a rough day too, and she needed to hear like, oh, I had a rough day, but honestly, Mindy, it's no problem. But I'm like sucking the tears back up in my own eyes because I got to put on a strong face.
Right.
I didn't realize that was enhancing who I was.
That's strong. Being in the, you know, the position that you're in and watching, you know, your business evolve from 300 families a month, you know, to 750 families a month to 1,200 families a month and 2,000 families a month. Now looking at 3,000 families a month. Obviously, there's a lot of evolution in that. You guys have seen a lot from an organizational standpoint internally with staff and the way you staff, and then systems and the way you system, and just some of the things that have been implemented and some of the things that have been approved upon and some of the things that have been you threw away because they no longer worked or what have you.
Yeah.
Speak to some people that are looking to build something significant and what some of those internal challenges are like when you're dealing with staffing and systems and things that are put in place to help the business grow.
The first thing that I think someone even that's just starting in their organization, like maybe you just hit, VP and you're, starting to empower some leaders, and now you're helping 300 or 400 families a month, and you've got some established leaders that are starting to take some responsibility. I would say one of the things that really helped us, that the three of us kind of talked about and figured out, was, helping people make the same journey that we did. Because you take that burden, maybe of someone else on their back, but eventually, someone's got to learn to carry other people's burdens on their back, and that was something that I feel like eluded us for a while and maybe hindered our growth at a point, because we realized we weren't empowering our leaders to be leaders. We were empowering them to be dependent.
Got it.
And no negative thing to them. This is something that we did.
True.
And once we made that switch, they took off with flying colors.
It's crazy.
And so, but that is something it's a pride thing too, because I'll be honest with you, there's something inside every person that you want to be like, oh yeah, everyone depends on me. But that's not good for them.
Right. Yeah.
And it's not good for me.
Right.
So you got to help people get that growth. So that's a big thing right there. That'll take just within because obviously the biggest thing here is agents.
Right.
Like staff, they're going to help you do a lot of stuff, but your business is going to grow because your agent structure is right.
Sure.
As far as internally, you gotta focus in on what you're good at, and you gotta keep the focus there. And you get really talented, great people, staff to help take those things off your plate that aren't building the business, aren't making money. That's something I figured out with my first assistant. I was like, on the phone for an hour with I think it was like Americo, trying to get something figured out for a client, and I had an assistant, and she said to me, she's like, do you want me to make that call for you?
Right.
And I was like, and I actually said no at first because I was like, no, I could do it. And then I thought, wait, like, I shouldn't be messing around with that. But that same conversation keeps hitting you. As your organization is growing, you're getting more and more staff, and you realize you're shouldering doing these things.
Right.
That's not as bad for you to do.
Sure.
But someone else, you can empower someone else to do that.
No doubt.
And so, finding the right person for the right seat, it's not always easy.
It's not.
So especially as you're getting more and more, and you like people, and sometimes it's an uncomfortable conversation.
Sure.
So that's something that we grew into. That was at a point, I was really grateful to have Joe as a partner, because he'd already kind of gone through some of those experiences and helped me, get more accustomed to them.
That's awesome.
But man, I just to go back to that first thing, if you and your managers are in unison, if you have unity and they trust you, you trust them, like that's going to help you do so much, because of course their businesses performing well,
no doubt,
helps your business. And, so they need staff, and, us being able to help them with that kind of stuff helped us at many points. So I think those are probably some of the biggest.
That's awesome. Well, let's close with this. You just mentioned something, you built a warm market business. Primarily warm market. You guys definitely use cold market to sprinkle in and even go cold to warm with some of the people that you hired. So we're not negating cold market, but when you say when you and your managers have trust, how do you build trust with your managers? Let's say cold to warm or warm market. How do you build trust? If you have a business that has both, it's not as dominant as yours warm market, because your top leaders are some of your friends, right? Which it's a little easier to do, but the principles apply, right? So how do you do that?
For in both situations, warm and then also cold to warm.
No, I would say linear.
Okay,
because it's the same. It's probably the same thing, unless you have if you have two different answers, I'll take it.
Yeah,
but I'm thinking it's the same thing with a slight twist.
Yeah,
but I want to hear it from you.
Yeah, the principles are the same for sure, and it's just a little bit different road. I mean, here's the thing: people trust you when you're accountable and you're there for them.
Warm or cold, right?
Warm or cold. So, I mean, answering the simple things that sometimes, just people can't seem to get right is, answering the phone. I've answered phone calls, something, people on the West Coast, they need my help at 11, 12 o'clock at night.
Right.
And it's 8 o'clock their time.
Right.
I'm answering that phone call. I'm spending the time, if they're having an issue with agents and maybe we need to talk it out, and the conversation is going to take an hour.
Right.
And it's going to take, you can only have so many of those in a work day.
Right, correct.
And some days my whole day was spent 5-6 conversations with people that really needed help.
Sure.
And I get in at 8 and I turn around, it's 8 o'clock. And I've spent the whole day walking around on the phone,
correct,
talking with people about these situations.
Sure.
And that builds a lot of trust right there. Like I said, there were times where just personally, I'm not telling anyone else what to do, but people were struggling and maybe I took a bill, and I was like, I got this one, as far as, if someone was struggling, there was a lead flow issue or something like that. Did that a handful of times. People don't forget that.
Yeah.
People don't forget that.
Yeah.
Making those trips out. I want it to be more complicated than it is.
This is great.
But it's really that simple. And as far as cold to warm, I think that journey is just a little bit. It's a lot of the same stuff, just a little bit farther because they don't know you.
Right.
So it's like, when I was having these conversations with Sean, we had the years of experience beforehand.
Right.
So he knew he could trust me. When I was having those conversations with German or David Starr or, someone, or Nick Gray, they were like, not like they didn't trust me, but they didn't know me.
Correct.
But, those people become warm market.
Sure, absolutely.
After you spend enough time. David Starr is like my little brother.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Jonah Lewis. These people are like my family.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No
but
doubt.
they were cold market at one time.
Right. Dude, I love it, man. And I'm going to say this to the camera so that people understand. If I were going to build a business in the life insurance business, I'm taking this podcast and I'm looping this because this didn't cost a lot of money to do. Yes, there were bumps, bruises. Yes, there were things that, Gabe and Caleb and they learned along the way. But a warm market foundation and working and building trust with people through that time, going out and going to go see people while selling, just be clear, is how I built my business. And it's how I seen Andrew Taylor build his, and Mike Hilliman build his, and John Wetmore build his, and Paul McLean build his, and Matt. That's how I saw this business being built by successful people that I would call titans in this industry today, and all our integrity partners. So you have to go no further if you're looking to build a business than this podcast, where Gabe so just artistry brush strokes what it looks like in the valleys and the mountains, and also just in everyday life of recklessly serving people with reckless abandon and loving on people more than they even love themselves at times, showing people how to believe in themselves more than they believe in themselves at times, believing in them more than they believe in themselves at times. And that's our business, bro. We're heavy in the people business.
Yeah.
And this is one of the more hardcore people businesses because independent contractors are virtually naked.
Yeah.
It's all out there for you to see because if you can't see it, you can't help them. So dealing with that and learning how to deal with staff, it takes time. It takes fortitude. It takes push. It takes grit. It takes hours. But there's no greater feeling, as you said, than where you are right now.
Yeah.
But it's only getting better, dude.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, man, for sharing. I'm like so warm right now. Like I don't want to stop the podcast, but time's up on us. Gabe, man, I appreciate you for all you do. You've been a game changer, at FFL 320, FFL Universe, FFL Tri-State, and I would say Family First Life as a whole, dude. So you are an integral part of what we do, man. So appreciate you, buddy.
Thank you so much, dude.
Man,
You've been a
love you,
blessing.
brother.
Love you too, bro.
Keep on listening. God bless.